Hey you guys, it's Shemaine here and welcome back to my channel for another TTC update. So I know you guys I'm super made up, but I just finished recording a makeup review, so excuse the super done upness. I am in the process of just getting some videos out there that I am so behind on, but I definitely wanted to come to you guys with an update on how my second IUI went and what the result of that was. So if you guys want to stay tuned to hear a little bit more about how that went and how my 2-week wait went, definitely keep on watching. But before you do, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And if you are subscribed, thank you so much for coming back and listening and hearing about where I am in this journey, and just sharing your stories with me as well. And I am done. I say this all the time with my rambling. Let's get right into the video. Get you guys up on how my 2-week wait went. The 2-week wait was a little bit more rough than the first IUI. I just had a lot going on. I was just having a really hard time sleeping in that 2 weeks. I don't know, I feel so much more focused in the first IUI than I did my second IUI, but yet and still I kept going. As my doctor normally does a week after my IUI, she did request that I go and have some progesterone blood work done, in which I did. So after I got my blood work done, my progesterone levels were a little bit lower than my last cycle. So last cycle, my progesterone level was at a 17.1. The doctor would like to see it at a 15 or higher. But this month it was at a 9.6. So speaking to the nurse, she did confirm that I did in fact ovulate. However, she was going to start me on progesterone suppositories starting that night for 7 days, obviously, to kind of get me through the next week until I was ready to test. I have heard of a lot of women taking suppositories before, and I was just a little unfamiliar with it. So I kind of went out there to the community and looked up, you know, was there anything specific I was supposed to be doing? And no, I mean, it was pretty simple. I would just put it in vaginally that evening or that night before bed. Of course, you have to protect yourself with some type of liner because it can get a little bit messy. So I did that, and I have this really funny story. Like, I can't go on without telling you guys this funny story. So I did my first night of my suppository, and the next morning I woke up and I was spotting a little bit. So I kind of felt myself cramping a little bit, some dull cramping. So I saw myself spotting, but it was gone probably around like 9 or 10 o'clock by the time I got to work. And so this happened for 2 days. And the second day I just got so emotional. I got so down because I'm like, you know, my cycle is trying to come and it's trying to break through, and I was just having a terrible day emotionally with seeing the spotting, and I was just getting like increasingly discouraged. So I finally called the nurse and just share with her like, hey, I'm kind of concerned. I've been spotting for the past 2 days. And my mind was just going, like, skipping like a few steps ahead. Like, I wasn't thinking about the obvious. That's all I'm gonna say. So she's talking to me on the phone and she's like, you know, you shouldn't have any spotting, especially if your cycle isn't due for another 5 or 6 days or so. And it wasn't. So she asked the most obvious question, and I felt like such a jackass when she asked me this question. And so she was like, Shemaine, what color are the suppositories or the pills? Because they can vary, you know, depending on the pharmacy. And I was like, they're dark red. And she's like, oh, okay, like clearly you're having like a little bit of like the capsule that's coming out that morning. Like, I highly doubt that you're actually spotting, which is why it's gone by 9 or 10 o'clock. I tell you guys, like, I had the worst morning. I was like literally in my work stall crying. I was just so emotional, like what's going on with my body? Like this isn't gonna work, yada, yada, yada. And I just felt so stupid because she was right. It totally was the capsule, like after it had dissolved or whatever was left of that kind of like coming out like that next morning. So like the following morning after I did like my third suppository, I just had to laugh at myself because I was like, I can't even believe like mentally I let myself go there. And my mood instantly changed after I talked to the nurse, like, hey guys, like I was just the happiest person in the world, but that morning I was just like so emotional. So I did my suppositories or what have you, and I have been documenting a lot of my just feelings and what I've been feeling, and just symptoms of what I thought was symptoms. Another thing that I mentioned in my last video that I did test out my trigger just to be sure that the trigger was out of my system, so that I wouldn't potentially have any false positives. So I totally OD'd on taking pregnancy tests just to be sure that this trigger was out of my system. So I will be sure to insert a clip so you guys can see what that looked like. As you guys can see, by 8 days past my trigger, the trigger shot was completely out of my system. So I know that anything that were to happen after that will be completely in the clear. So I am coming up on week 2 of my 2-week wait, and it was time for me to test. Hey guys, so I am going to test today. I'm actually not due to test until tomorrow, which is when my expected period is coming, but I'm currently on progesterone suppositories, so obviously my period is not going to come with me taking those, so I am just going to test. Gonna be honest, I'm not feeling too hopeful this cycle, but I guess at this point we shall see. So I do have my first morning urine in this cup right here, and then obviously I have these first response tests. So I am gonna go ahead and dip. So the instructions say to dip it for 5 seconds. So I'm gonna go ahead and dip it now. And it is running down, so I am going to wait. It says here for 3 minutes, and I will be back. So like I pretty much expected, this is negative, just like last month. Pretty negative. Alright guys, so as you can see, this cycle was not a success. I'm actually pretty glad that we're taking a break just so that we can just take a break and not worry about this too much and just enjoy traveling and all of that. So yeah, I mean, I definitely was hopeful, but as it started to get closer to my cycle being due, I kind of figured, so yeah, so that's pretty much it. I don't really have much else to say. So the verdict is in. IUI number 2 was not a success yet again. And I am even questioning myself, like, how are you still optimistic? How are you still going? Like, I truly did not realize how strong I was until I really started this process. As you guys can see, round 2 was not successful, and I feel like I am repeating everything that I said in my first video. It's very weird, but I am going to share with you guys our plans moving forward and what is next for us. But before I do, I just want to say thank you. And I know I said this last month, but I want to say it yet again for everybody who have reached out to me or just have, you know, wished us luck and just well wishes. We know that it is going to happen, although this journey is so up and down. We're quite confident that soon it will happen for us. So again, I'm confident that God is going to do this thing, and I am not worried, I promise. It is sometimes hard to be a little optimistic, especially on days where it just kind of overtakes you emotionally. And I am human. I have those days, I have those moments where I'm really, really upset and I'm just not wanting to hear anything at all. But today is not one of those days, and that's all that matters. You know, you just kind of have to pick yourself back up again and keep on going. So that is exactly what we are doing. So again, as far as what is next for us, we are going to be traveling here in the next 2 weeks to Houston for a basketball game. Every year we do go to see the Houston Rockets. That is my husband's favorite basketball team. So we have, you know, established this little tradition where we go and we watch a game every year, NBA game. So we are going to be going out of town in the next 2 weeks. Therefore, it is going to be a little hard and difficult for us to try to plan our third IUI around traveling. Obviously, I'm going to be needing to do ultrasounds, and our time out of town is going to kind of fall around the time that I'm going to be ovulating. So the plan is to still do a letrozole medicated cycle, but in this case, we are just going to be doing time intercourse with the OPKs. So you guys, I am not giving up. Whether we are doing IUI or not, we are still going to be doing that thing. So that is the plan for this cycle. My doctor said it is not recommended that we take any more than a month off from the IUI, so that the doctor can kind of proceed with what we have planned and what her plan is for us, you know, trying to conceive wise. So I did also have plans to travel to the DR in March, which I explained to the nurse, but she also suggested again, they don't want to kind of deter from the plan no more than a month. And I am going to be trying to travel back to back, but she also recommended that it's not best that I travel to the Caribbean at all. And if I did, they would have to give me the Zika vaccine, and then I would have to wait quite a few months before starting the process over again. And that is not something that I want. So we are just going to go ahead and travel to Houston and start IUI back up again if I am, for any reason, if in the event that we are not successful for the month of February, we are going to start our third IUI back up in March. So yeah, you guys, that is the plan. Again, I tried to keep this video fairly quick with kind of sharing what I've experienced in the past 2 weeks leading up to me having to take a pregnancy test. So I just want to leave this and encourage you guys, if you are also going through this journey, to stay encouraged and try to remain optimistic as I am as well, and you know, keep going. There is so much light at the end of the tunnel, and this is going to be so worth it. So yes, that's it, you guys. That's all that I have for this video, and I will be coming to you guys with an update maybe for February. I'm not too sure if I'm going to be doing any updates until we probably go back into IUI. But yeah, that's it, guys. So Lord willing, I will see you guys in my next video. Make sure you give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. And Lord willing, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.